cup runneth over, and today we're going to be talking about how to live a spirit-filled life in 3 easy steps. And we're not going to talk a lot. We're going to let the scriptures speak for themselves. So we're going to jump right into it. It's 3 steps. Anybody can do it. The first step is locate the Spirit. We're going to be in Joshua 1. We're going to start in Joshua 1. Let's look at verse 8. The reason why we're going here because we know that the Spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. How do we bring the flesh closer to the Spirit, right? The way we do it is to go to the Word. Let's see. Verse 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then shalt thou make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. That's the number one reason why we want to live a spirit-filled life. It's because we want to make our way prosperous. We want to make our way holy. We want to make sure that we have good success in life. All right. So you say, meditate on the word therein day and night. It says this book of the law, but it say, hey, I thought some of the law was passed away, the things that weren't good for us. Hey, so what should we really be focusing on? Well, Christ comes in the volume of the book. So if you have the Spirit, you can go back and read the Old Testament without there being a veil on your heart. That's what we spoke about last video. So let's get a deeper understanding on what it means to really meditate therein day and night. We're going to jump down to Philippians 4 and 8. Now it says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure. So we know, what is this describing? This is describing the scriptures, right? Whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Those things which ye have both learned, we learn what? The scripture. And received, you receive what? The scripture. And heard, you heard what? The scripture. It says, and seen in me do. That's an example, right? And the God of peace shall be with you. So this is how we locate the Spirit. Now, that's step 1. Step 2 is for us to familiarize ourselves with Spirit-filled examples from the scriptures. So let's get a Spirit-filled example. So we're going to go to Acts 8, verse 26. And the angel of the Most High spake unto Philip, saying, arise and go toward the south unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is the desert. So first off, the angel spoke unto Philip, right? Let's keep following how Philip moves in the Spirit, because we want to be able to see examples that show you how to move in the Spirit. So you say, how can I find more examples like this one? Hey, the way you find it is by meditating on the word day and night. Let's keep going. Verse 27, it says, and he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians. So there was a eunuch under Candace that he came upon. Here we go. Who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship. So Candace, the queen of Ethiopians, was going to Jerusalem to worship. Here we go. It says, was returning, verse 28, was returning and sitting in his chariot, read Isaiah, the prophet. So the Ethiopian man was reading Isaiah, the prophet. Let's see what happened. Verse 29. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, there we go. Bing, 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 bing. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, this is how you live a holy Spirit-filled life. It's just step 2. The Spirit said unto Philip. Let's see what he does when the Spirit speaks. It says, go near and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him. So Philip didn't walk down. He ran down. There was urgency. See, when you live in a Spirit-filled life, when you hear from the Spirit, you move in urgency. Let's keep going. It says, Philip ran thither to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah and said, understandest thou what thou readest? Verse 31. And he said, how can I, except some man should guide me? So The Spirit led Philip there to guide the Ethiopian man, the Ethiopian eunuch who had control over money. Now it says, and he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. So now Philip was obedient. This is what it means to live a spirit-filled life. You need to be obedient. Philip was obedient. Now, just imagine, right? Philip wasn't obedient. Imagine the Spirit spoke to Philip and Philip ignored it. Just imagine. Now, it's 14. This is just the beginning of what happened between Ethiopian and Philip. Now, if Philip ignored the voice of the Spirit, there would be no scriptures here. 14 scriptures would just be erased out of the Bible. Just something to think about. So now, this is how important it is to listen. Now, just think back in your life when the Spirit spoke to you. How many scriptures did you erase? If Philip would have erased 14 scriptures here just by not going down to the chariot, just by not getting up and going to Gaza, 14 scriptures would have been going out the Bible. How many have you erased in your lifetime just through ignorance, not knowing that was the Spirit speaking, just through carelessness, thinking, hey, I have later time to do it. There's no urgency to get it done now. And then you forget down the line. How many scriptures? Hey, don't get left out of the book. Don't get left out of the book of life. You're needed. Your life is the scriptures. This is what people forget. The Bible stopped being written because we stopped writing it. But if the end times are yet to come, that means we're somewhere in the middle of the book. The end of the book, Revelation, is still coming. So in the beginning of this year, we're over here somewhere. So your life is still a part of the book. Your life, the 144, is still a part of the book. We're looking for these examples to help us understand what it means to move in the Spirit. And there are many more examples out there. I think a great book to look at is how the apostles were moving after Christ passed or after Christ rose. That's a great book. Just start there. Just see how they were moving and see, hey, do I have this much conviction? Do I have this much urgency in my moves? Am I ignoring anything? If these people I'm reading ignored the Spirit, if these people I'm reading and ignored the word, what would the Bible look like? Now, think back to your life. If I had been obedient to the word, what would my life look like? What would my life look like? So step 3 is to act. And we're going to go back to Joshua chapter 1, verse 9, and go for a circle and just see what happens after verse 8, what they say. After you meditate on the word therein day and night, let's see what it says, right? Here we go. Verse 9. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Most High thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. So we have to have courage. We have to be strong. We have to have no fear. This is why it's important that we align ourselves. This is why it's important, because when it's time to act, we have to have courage to act. When you see a car pulled over, when you see somebody getting bullied, when you see somebody in danger, in need of your help, you're the only one there that can help them. And you get that prick in your heart. Are you going to ignore that prick? You're the only one that can help them. So the worst case scenario, if you listen to the Most High and you've been living the way you're going to live, the worst case scenario is you do what? You go straight to the kingdom, baby. You go straight to the kingdom. That's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is the Abba's got your back. You got 100% covering, and you're bulletproof. Nothing can touch you. You're invincible. Why? Because you have faith. Why? Because the Abba is watching you. Why? Because you're covered. Why? Because you've been living right, and you have confidence in the Father. So now, let's say you've been living right and you don't listen. Let's say you've been living right and you ignore the pricks. This is what I like to call prick karma. When I say prick, I'm talking about the pricks of the heart. So let's say somebody needs your help and you don't go through and help them. You ignore the prick in your heart and you let it go. And you drive by, you walk by, you turn a blind eye, you turn your head, you act like you didn't see it, you act like you didn't know, you act like you didn't have the money. Now, when you are in need, it says you reap what you sow, right? So if you reap what you sow, that means that when you ignore your prick, somebody else just may ignore their prick when you need help. Now you have to put yourself in their shoes. Now, what about when you're on the side of the road? What about when your mother's on the side of the road? You just drove by somebody, mama, on the side of the road, and you felt that prick. Now, you don't want nobody driving by your mama on the side of the road. So you reap what you sow. So this is why it's important to move forward. Now let's look at the reasons why people wouldn't move forward. Now, if you've been living a life, you're aware of these pricks. You're aware of the Most High. You've been trying to live a spirit-filled life, but you fell off. Now, the Spirit tells you to act. And guess what? Guess what crept into the scene? The fear of the world. Why? Because you've been living in iniquity. You've been living in sin. So now you're afraid you don't have the covering of the Abba. You're afraid if you run over there, you might get shot. You're afraid if you run over there, that car might explode. Did you see the difference? You see how your lifestyle will predict what you will do in trouble. And then the best case scenario for that is you get injured. When you run into trouble and you've been living wicked, the best case scenario, you get injured. Let's say you follow through with the prick, listening to the prick. The best case scenario is you get injured. And now you get an opportunity. You live through it. And you say, Abba, I've been messing up. I know I got to do right. This is your warning. Thank you for the wake-up call, Abba. I'm about to switch some things up. The worst case scenario is you go straight to hell, baby. As the worst case scenario, it's important for us to live a spirit-filled life. Why? Because the Abba needs us. Why? Because we are the arm of God on earth. If you don't do it, who will? So in conclusion, these are the 3 steps that you need to live a spirit-filled life. First, let's locate the spirit. We know it's within, but we have to align our flesh with the spirit. Second, let's familiarize ourselves with examples of people following the spirit out of the scriptures. And that will give us guidance on how we need to look, how we need to act, what we need to portray. Third, let's act. When you feel the spirit telling you something to do, when you get the prick in your heart, that means it's what? It's time to move forward in action. Let's get to action, man. We waiting on you. The acts, the works. Let's go.
0, 1. Let's get started.